Well, let me say good evening to you. I'm grateful for, as the song said, another day's journey, and I'm glad about it. I wanted to get on here and share something with you. I don't mean to take up a lot of your time, but I do want to share a little something with you. Hi, Darlene. How are you? Nancy, good to see you as you're coming on. So I'm going to wait. I said at 6:15. I always try to come on a little early to give people an opportunity to get on. Gladys, I see you. Laverne, how are you? Pat, how you doing? Pray that everything is well. Sharnita, good to see you. Good to see you. And so I just want to share a little something with you on a Saturday evening. And I want to talk about what's in my spirit. Terrence, how are you? Carolyn, how are you? Good to see you this evening. Good to see each and every one of you this evening. Barbara, how are you? Cora, good evening to you. And just want to the Lord just laid this in my spirit. I had no intention of coming on tonight. Cheryl, how are you? No intention whatsoever, but I just need to share a little something with you. And I think, Lisa, this might hope you for a minute. Just needed to let you know a couple of things. Minister Faye, good to see you coming on board. Sister Bowling, how are you this evening, Lady Bowling? So, hey Debbie, how are you? And in 1 minute, I'm going to begin, and then people can get on as they get on. Lavonda, good to see you. Lisa, good. Good to see those of you who are coming on board. Minister Philly, continually praying for you and your recovery. For God will take care of you. Sharon, good evening to you. Okay. Well, it's 6:15. That's the time that I said I was going to start. Let me, Vanessa, how are you this evening? Let me share this, and I want to give you a little history lesson. It's not United States history. It's my history, and I think my history. Good evening, Thea. Cecile, how are you this evening? I think my history is what creates a supernatural sensitivity to where things are right now. Hey Denise, how are you this evening? Here's my history. I believe in 2006. I believe. I'm not sure. My mother passed, and hey Jaleesa, how are you? My mother passed, and when the time came for her funeral, her homegoing celebration at that particular time, it was my Ethel, how are you? It was my responsibility to do my mother's eulogy. Charles, how are you? Tell Viola we said hello. And I was preparing to do that, And I thought I had just caught a cold. That's what I thought it was. I thought it was just a cold. And but it was an unusual cold because the pain was in the left lung. And I'm stubborn. I'm difficult. And I'm determined. And so I'm going to preach my mother's eulogy. I don't care what anybody says. The doctor calls as I get ready to walk out the door and shares with me, if I do my mother's eulogy, mine will be next. I didn't care. I was going to do my mother's eulogy. I was going to preach my mother's funeral. The pain was so unbelievable until most of that day I don't even remember. I remember bits and pieces. I was sweating profusely. I remember bits and pieces. I remember being at the casket. I remember the time to close it. I remember Pastor Simon sort of catching me. Carletta, how are you this evening? I don't remember one song. I don't remember one condolence. The only thing that I remember was me telling my brother that he's going to have to preach Mom's eulogy. And so hold on just a second. I needed to text this back. And so, Corey, I don't remember anything. The next thing I know, we're in the family car. We're headed to the cemetery. And I couldn't even get out of the car because I could barely breathe. But Michelle and Adrian and Rolanda, you still can't tell me nothing because I'm determined. And so we go back because the funeral was at United. And we go back for the repast. And as I'm sitting there, I finally tell Lady Harrison, I need you to take me home. Good evening, Myrna. So I go home. The pain was so bad that every time I coughed, I had to brace myself between the door frame, and push as hard as I could to get some level of relief in my lung every time I coughed. And I went to sleep. I did not have an opportunity. That's right, Cheryl. I know you remember that because you were there. Some of the rest of you were there when this happened. And I woke up the next day, and I told Lady Harrison, take me to the hospital. Breathing was overwhelmingly difficult to do. Scared my family unnecessarily. Then they proceeded to say, well, we can put a chest tube in and see if we can open the lung. And I will never forget that as long as I live, when they cut me under my rib cage, and I could feel his fingers inside my rib cage as he was trying to open it. And then he went to stick the tube in there, and it wouldn't go in, and I screamed. When I screamed, Lady Harrison went one way, Michael went another. I probably cleared the room out because I screamed just that loud. because the pain was just that bad, and I'm still not able to breathe that well. Finally, they tell me, we're going to have to perform surgery, and we're going to have to crack your chest open and do such and such and such and such. And then I panicked because I'm like, okay, Sheila, I lost my mind. Minister Mike, you remember? I was like, Lord, I've never had any surgery before. I've never been cut on before. The doctor comes back and says, no, it's not going to be quite like that. And so they prep me for surgery. They have to take me from one hospital to another one in order for the surgery to take place. When the surgeon got done and I came back to my senses and was able to talk because I was drugged up pretty good, he said the fluid in my lungs was like sludge. You want to know why? Hey, Sylvia Scott. Because I was stubborn. Because you couldn't tell me that I could not overcome it. And yes, I have faith in God. I believe God for miracles. Yes, I do. And I went through that, but I didn't learn. God brought me through it. God brought me through it. Sharnice, God brought me through it. God brought me through it. No cancer in the lung. To this day, I haven't had any issues with the lung. But I still didn't learn. The next thing you know, I contract diverticulitis. And my doctor kept telling me it's a real simple procedure. It's a real simple procedure. We can do this. We can clear it up. But I was too busy. I had too many things to do, Don. I had too many places to be. I had too much ministry to perform to clear my schedule enough. I want to talk to you. I want you to hear what I'm saying. And in the month of October, about 7 years ago, sitting in the sanctuary of the Union Baptist Church, my colon ruptured. 7 strands of toxins went into the sterile cavity of my body, and by all medical reasons, I should not even be talking to you right now. I got a point that I want to make. I got a point I need to make, and I need to share with you that there are consequences to being stubborn. There are consequences to doing what you want to do. There are consequences when you totally disregard medical examinations and determinations that can stop something from happening before it turns cataclysmic. Many of the things that I have gone through could have been prevented if I would have used just a little wisdom and would have followed the instructions of my doctors. But sometimes your pride, hey Rita, sometimes your self-will and self-determination will override, Bobby, good old-fashioned common sense. Now, I'm saying all of this to say this. None of the things that I've gone through, Cecile, were simple procedures. They were I was told by the doctor when my colon ruptured that it was good that I did not allow them to cut me open because I'd be dead, because they would not have known what to do. Every doctor in the midst of my own stupidity was a Christian who encouraged me through the whole time. Had a church that encouraged me through the whole time. Got a family that encouraged me through the whole time. But I want you to hear where I'm going with this. God spared me twice from death. We are in the middle of a pandemic and people are paying it no attention. I watched in Washington, D.C., Angela, where they're out there protesting, and that's their right to do, with no masks and no social distancing. I've watched, Maria, where people on Facebook are still having house parties and gatherings. People are still doing what they want to do, and with no regard. And for some, it's because God will take care of me. God uses doctors. God uses medicine. God uses these people to keep us alive. And Lisa, so this is what the Lord, I almost feel like Jeremiah. I feel like I'm weeping over a people that don't know how to come out of the rain. Because for whatever reason, Katrina, they feel it can't happen to them. Can I tell you from someone who knows? Yes, it can. And if you don't practice the distancing, if you don't sanitize, if you don't wash your hands, if you don't do what you need to do, it's going to happen to you. It is spreading exponentially. It is spreading like wildfire. And that's the reason why I made the decision that I was not going to allow the musicians, the praise team, or the media ministry to be in the church on Sunday mornings unless we're outside. If we're outside, we'll come together until we get the renovations done in the sanctuary. You know why I did that? Do you know why I'm willing to risk the fact that people may criticize me or not understand me, or say, well, if you can go to the store, you can go to church, you can go to this, you can go to church, you can go to church. Yeah, I understand all of that, but I also understand ventilation. I also understand guidelines. I also understand the need for air to do certain things, and certain things need to happen to make sure everyone is protected when we come together. And that fellowship hall is too small for that. And I'm not saying that anybody has it at all. You can be asymptomatic and still be a carrier. I panicked when I found out that Stan Boney had contracted the disease, because a few days before the manifestation of it in his body, I did an interview with him. The thing that kept me from going into isolation was the fact that we were social distanced. We're not around each other over 15 minutes. When I did take the mask off, we were socially distanced. We were outside where the wind was blowing. As soon as the interview was over with, the mask went right back on. And what we fall short in understanding, Bobby, is this is not an American virus. It is a worldwide virus. So all I'm saying to you, and I am only accountable for 528 Lincoln Avenue, but I'm going to do everything I can within the power that God gives me to pastor the people and to lead the people of God to protect. I don't care who's in their building. That is their business. That's between them and God. I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care what anybody else thinks. You can go worship anywhere you want to. I am not upset about that. I have buried enough members of the Union Church that I have a sensitivity to the pain that people go through. So I'm going to obey God rather than thinking what anybody else thinks. And I don't think it's so much Union that's doing this. But, there's this thing out here now in churches and pastors, and that's their prerogative, because guess what? They are the ones who are accountable to their churches, not me. But I'm accountable to God for and because I love my people. Now you have to remember something. You got to remember something. When I do this, I don't get as much revenue, because here's what people do. They give in person. I'll turn around and tell them, drop it off in the mailbox. I'll turn around and tell them, you can do this, that, or the other. Guess what? They are not going to do it until the next time we come together. I'm still going to ask them to do it. People miss the fellowship. They miss seeing each other. I have a loving church where people really do miss one another. And when we are out in the parking lots, man, we love, I'm screaming and yelling at them. Social distance, social distance. Don't do. Why? Because union loves its members. We hug each other. We speak to each other. We hold each other's hands. We do all kind of things because we're a loving church. But right now, in the midst of this, hey, George, how are you? In the midst of this, I'm going to do what I need to do to protect the people that God has given me. And not only am I going to protect them, I'm going to protect me. I have a compromised immune system, which means what? I am vulnerable to this thing. I hope you hear my heart. I hope you feel my spirit. I hope you recognize that love causes you to make decisions you don't want to make. Love causes you to do things you don't want to do. Love causes you to recognize clearly that there's some people that just have to get mad and upset because of the decisions that are made. People are contracting this thing at an unprecedented rate. It's only because I love you. I do what I do because I love you. I do what I do because I don't want to see you get sick. I do what I do so families don't have to go through what families have gone through. I do what I do so I don't have to talk to people while they're on respirators. I do what I do because I care. So I wanted to share that because some people think sometimes you just make decisions just to make decisions, or you just do what you want to do and all that kind of foolishness. I do what I do, one, because the Lord is leading me. I do what I do, two, because the Lord is leading me. I do what I do, three, because the Lord is leading me. We will come through this. Bruce, we will come through this. But if the governor needs to shut it down, I want him to shut it down. And the reason I want him to shut it down is because there are too many black and white people who don't give a good god dog about nobody but themselves. Wash your hands. We're back to it. Back in like we did in March and April. Wash your hands. Sanitize. Social distance. Get you some masks and be handsome and cute. Wear them well, because the wearing of that mask is keeping you from wearing a casket. I know what it's like to not be able to breathe. I know what it's like to struggle to inhale. I know what it's like to have pain at an unbelievable level. But I also know that God permits us to go through some things so that we can be a help to somebody else. I'm not going to bother you anymore. I look forward to seeing you at 10 a.m. Tomorrow morning, as we will be preaching from the church. We're not going to run the radio station unless somebody says that they're going to be out there. But I'm really against that, because the winds are supposed to blow between 50 to 60 mile an hour, and the rain is supposed to be torrential. So just stay home, stay safe. I don't even know, if I'm even going to get through the streaming, because they're talking about power outages and everything else. But here's what I'm saying. Trust me. I have never intentionally led anybody wrong. Trust me. It's going to be in the middle of 2021, maybe close to the end of 2021, before this thing will be under control. And as long as we continue to party, as long as we continue to have dinners, long as we continue to have gatherings, as long as we can, because you fail to understand your house is not ventilated properly for large numbers to be in there with the virus. What does that mean for Thanksgiving? Get on Zoom. Get on FaceTime. Get on Google Duo and see your family that way. It is better to see your family alive than to go view your family. I know what it feels like to almost die twice. I know what it feels like. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that you don't have to. I gotta go. I'm going to rest up, get ready so that the Lord can say what he wants to say through me on tomorrow. Join me at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. tomorrow sharp, Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to share with you what the Lord has given us to share. I love you with all of my heart, and I just want you to stay safe. May God bless you, and may he keep you, is our prayer.